Chad Prather rose to internet fandom as the man who's unapologetically Southern.
Heath Oaks is a published author who failed his way to success.
Together, they tackle today's headlines in a way only a Southern Spitfire and a millennial mogul can.
Take off your sport coat, grab a beer, and enjoy the conversation.
This is Second Shot with Chad Prather and Heath Oaks.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Second Shot. This is Chad Prather. Hope you're having a great week. I'm sitting here with my buddy Heath Oaks. What's up?
I'm just loving the sunshine.
It is nice.
It seems like we've had thunderstorms almost every night here in Dallas for a while. I don't know if it's been that way over in Fort Worth area to you, but man, here it seems like we've had thunderstorm after thunderstorm after thunderstorm.
Yeah, I've been caught in a couple of little downpours here recently. We've had a lot of rain blow through, and I had to go. I flew to Missouri a couple of weeks ago, and we had to go literally all the way around the storm cell to get way out of the way.
You know the bad thing about the rain has been, remember I told you that I actually bought a lawnmower and I mow my own lawn for a little while?
Yeah.
Holy hell, I've had to mow my lawn every dadgum week. I'm getting over this little kick of mine very fast, just so you know.
'Tis the season. I can't imagine a clap of thunder is the only thing keeping Heath Oaks up at night nowadays, right?
No,
you've had a couple late nights recently.
Oh, yeah, all the time. I've got
time.
a 6-week-old that is so much like her mom and dad. She doesn't like to sleep a lot. She likes to go. And
Yeah.
so we're getting our whole key, but she's on her way to just be a winner is all there is to it.
I just had to Snapchat. Do you ever Snapchat?
No.
I don't either.
Are you getting into it?
No.
No, okay. I thought that's what that was.
No,
Yeah.
I don't need to get into any other forms of social media. Every now and then I'll open it up and I'll check and see what's going on there because people will send me stuff and I try to, my OCD, I got to clean things out. But no, I just don't get it. I don't understand Snapchat.
I struggle with it. I'm trying to get into it, and it's weird. It's kind of like Twitter, but 10 seconds. I don't know.
But how many people come to my shows, though? It's amazing. And I'm not just talking about younger people. Older folks do as well. Come to my shows, and whenever they want to take a picture with me or a selfie or whatever, they don't open up their camera. They open up their Snapchat.
Right.
And they go from there. I guess they like the filters. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how any of that works.
Well, I think it's social media. I mean, it's a camera, essentially, and anything you take in Snapchat you can save to your phone, but it'll go to social first.
All of them can be the same thing. Everybody picks their couple that they stay with and roll with it.
It's those sweet internet points people are after this. Hey, look, I'm with Chad Prather, and therefore, give me a like. Yeah. I want you to know how much better I'm doing than you.
Speaking of that, this headline that I've got for us, Chad, really made me think that you're probably going to have a lot to say with handling this because you probably get more internet or any criticism and things of that probably more than any of us sitting here, just because you're more in the public eye.
Right.
But I love this headline. Ed Reed has 3-letter reply to being ranked number 4 safety of all time. So just for everybody out there, well, number one, here at Second Shot, what we do is take headlines and we use it to apply principles to your life and business and personal in any way. We usually don't get much into the headline as much as what the content kind of gives us as an idea. Ed Reed, just for the ones that don't know, is, in my opinion, if I was ranking some of the NFL's greatest safeties of all time, I would put Ed Reed probably at number 1, personally.
You think better than a Deion Sanders?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He ranks higher than all of them when it comes to the stats that he has that he leads so many people with. I mean, when Tom Brady's in the game plans leading up to playing Baltimore those years, Tom Brady's game plan notes were know where Ed Reed is at all times, and Tom Brady is the GOAT. He's one of the best there ever is. But they ranked him. They ranked him at number 4, and Troy Polamalu, who's also a great safety, they had him ranked higher, and Troy Polamalu has openly said he thought Ed Reed was one of the best.
Right, and Polamalu was actually ranked ahead of him.
Yes,
Yeah.
And they all say that Reed made safety a glamour position. He became the first safety in 20 years to win the NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Tom Brady wrote "find number 20" on every play on his wristband when he played the Ravens. That's how scared of Ed Reed he was. And Tom Brady is one of the best of all times. He set the NFL record by returning the interception 106 yards. Broke his own record 4 years later with 107 yards. Other NFL records, the most interception return yards for a career, most career playoff interceptions, led the NFL in interceptions 3 times, including 2010, despite missing the first 6 games. He averaged 1 interception every 2.5 games over his 11-year career. And so NFL put this ranking out, number 4, and they obviously tagged him and the other people they had ranked on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
You know what his response was?
3 letters. What were they?
LOL.
Well, based on those stats, it probably should have been WTF.
But isn't it hilarious? All he wrote back, LOL.
Yeah.
So, like, what's funny about that to me is that gives you no inkling to really, I mean, could he be saying LOL that I can't believe they have me that high? LOL that I can't believe they don't have me number 1? That's the best part about it, I think.
feel fairly certain that it was
for
that
sure.
he wasn't higher.
But you can't say that for sure because he didn't go on a rant on either way.
Right.
So it even kind of leaves you almost.
What I like is that regardless of where he was ranked, he knows, based on that response, in my opinion, that it doesn't take anything away from him.
He doesn't need anybody to tell him who the greatest is if he knows where he is.
He knows how good he is. He knows what he accomplished. He knows his stats backwards and forwards. He knows what he did. It doesn't take anything away from him.
What I took the most from the headline is that the LOL comment. Mm-hmm. How many times does it happen that people poke? Nowadays we have it all online, but it's also still in your personal lives, whether it be interacting, face to face with people over the phone, but with the internet age, it's even more intense. People will try to get a rouse out of you. Like they will try to get you riled up. They will try to get you to be react emotionally to things. And then once you do, it goes down the whole next path, right?
Yeah.
That then your stuff's taken out of context and it goes, and then you do nothing but give those people a platform because then you're mentioning them, right? Yeah. Then you're giving them an acknowledgement that you know who they are and you realize that you're doing all of the things you really don't want to do, but you are. Now it is very difficult at times, and so I go back to somebody like you. You get it more than anybody because you're more in the public eye, Chad.
Right.
But I love the response of LOL because he's like, I ain't letting none of y'all get to me. None of this bothers me. I don't care. I don't need your ranking to tell me where I think I stand.
Yeah.
And so he brought nothing more to those people who would doubt it in any which way, shape, or form. So how do you deal with that and give people, because you get you're going to get criticism more than anybody. So do you have times where you've fell fault to giving the acknowledgement when you shouldn't because you responded when you would have done better? What can you give people to do? What's some tips?
I've done it, and I hate myself for it because I say, we've touched on this in prior episodes, but you let your accomplishments speak for themselves. Mm-hmm. You let that stuff stand on its own. You let others defend you. And then, I've had to tell my loved ones, I've had to tell my wife, I've had to tell different people that are close to me in my life, don't defend me online. Don't do it. That just makes it worse.
Yes.
Sometimes I've responded back on things that I thought were false and were just jabs, and I've defended myself. And then I've said, what's the point?
What's
Why?
the point?
I don't know that person's name. I don't know who they are.
It's not
I don't know
gonna do any good.
They have no bearing on my life whatsoever. So,
but if you posted something with your 1 million+ followers about this person, you just brought fame to them.
Exactly. I fed the troll, in essence. But I gave it life.
But how do you let it roll off your back? How do you not let those things get to you? Everybody out here listening have people that are criticizing, putting it out there. How does it affect you? How do you get it? How do you try to help it not affect you as much?
When I always advise people, find out who you are. Do whatever it takes to get comfortable in your own skin. Get your confidence in who you are, who you're created to be, and who you are. When you do that, when people make jabs at who you are now confident in you're secure in yourself. So with that, it just kind of bounces off of you. It hurts. It can potentially hurt, but you've got to get to a point where you say, that ain't going to change me tomorrow.
You know what I like to think about and how I kind of judge it myself is there's that fine line of, because you go, I'm not listening to what you say versus, it's always that line. Is that feedback?
Yeah.
Am I not taking criticism because I'm too arrogant to not want to think that I'm wrong here, right?
Right.
Or is that objective feedback, right? And so people always saying, how do I know that difference? I said, here's how you know. Whoever is saying it, is that somebody that you respect?
Exactly.
If it is not, don't worry about it. Move on. But if it is somebody that you respect, like if Jade came to you and said, Chad, you were being like blah, 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 blah.
That's a different deal.
That's a totally different deal because you respect your wife. You know her thoughts and she knows you. And you go, you know what? Wow. That some other person online could say that and you go, I ain't listening to them because they don't mean anything to you. First of all, it comes down to who it is, or is that somebody that is giving you the feedback, somebody you respect? And if not, don't let it get to you.
Yeah, those that mind don't matter, and those that matter don't mind. I mean, I try to go with that all the time. It's hard sometimes, but you're right. There are certain people who have the permission to speak into my life. Those people, you'd be one of them. If you looked at me and said, "No, bro, you don't need to go that route," I'd listen to that. I'd pay attention. Zach,
Nah, maybe not.
nah. I'd listen to Zach. I would.
Kristen, if she ever comes back,
yeah,
maybe.
Oh, well. Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to correct each other on the things in life that we feel like we all need to make a change on. So hang out. We're going to be right back after the break with another segment of Second Shot.
He likes cowboy hats and boots.
And he's a suit and tie kind of guy. Chad Prather and Heath Oaks host more of Second Shot coming up on RNCN.
Ready, aim, fire. Second Shot is back for another round on the Real News Communications Network.
What's up, everybody? We are right back with another segment, hanging out in the studio, and beautiful day. Everything's good in life.
We're going to talk a little bit about money.
I like money. It's my favorite subject.
Money.
Favorite
Who
subject.
doesn't love money?
I don't know. They're crazy if they don't.
It's
Speaking of that, I'm sitting here I'm on my calculator right here, and I'm looking at invoices for merchandise, T-shirts and caps and all that. So if you come to one of my shows, I need you to buy it. Otherwise, I'm going to go broke at this rate. But it's one of those things that makes the world go around. I got a bill yesterday from my publicist and from my agent and from my manager and from merch
Everybody
people,
else?
and I'm like, you know what? That show business stuff is high.
in the IRS.
IRS.
yeah. The IRS is always the best. I saw this headline and I thought this is a topic we have not talked about yet. I don't believe, and I think it's actually a really good thing to kind of talk about, especially because yourself and myself have both been people that have jumped out to 100% commission, having our own
Right.
things, or trying to make it ourselves, not being employees at times. And there's a lot of people that go back and forth with it all. And I do get a lot of all the time that people gripe about the most is money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to try to see if we can maybe bring up some tips on it. But this headline, most people...
I feel this sudden urge to check my bank account. I don't. Anyway, the headline. Give it
just
to me.
check it and send it to me, whatever it is. Most people blow 70% of their money on three things. And cutting back could be the key to the saving money, right? So the three things: house, transportation, and food.
All things that you would think are necessary.
They are necessary.
Yeah.
One would think.
But here's what's not necessary. Doing what the young redneck Heath Oaks did was not necessary when I first made my money.
Slap in the bag. Yeah.
Let me tell you this. Slap in the bag. That's a good one. Was it this episode or was that the last one? Who
Last
knows?
That's
episode.
the last one.
Yeah.
Okay, go back and you'll know what slap the bag means. When I first made money, I mean, I literally had maybe made 10 grand in a year, and I'm 19, and I start making some jack for the first time.
Yeah. Real
So I
money.
do what every young redneck does, and I bought the brand new loaded out F250 8-inch lift,
Come on.
38-inch tires. I'm telling you something, baby, this thing was sweet.
Yeah.
Okay?
I'm unzipping my pants.
Yeah,
just right now.
exactly.
Sorry, but it just makes me feel good.
And I ain't made that kind of money, but for like 8 months in a row. So I should not have been going out jumping out on a $60,000 truck and then yanking all of the suspension out from under it and putting new stuff, right? So a year and a half later, that truck was up for sale, and I was driving a 93 Lexus all beat to hell because, you know what, that ride didn't last forever. So I learned that the hard way. I think in times that what we do with money, it's not that you need to spend some of your money on home and transportation and all these things. And then people will always ask that, well, if I'm living paycheck to paycheck, how do I ever get ahead? You're living paycheck to paycheck because you put yourself in that situation.
You do. That's right.
If you're living paycheck to paycheck, you should not have a brand new vehicle with a brand new car note. You should not have the house that's pushed to the max of what your budget is.
Yeah.
That's where I think people come in. So I learned my lesson early on. And even, I won't say exactly, but I was making until my house, even now in Dallas that I live in right now, which is $400,000+ kind of house.
Yeah.
Most expensive house I've ever owned yet. Now, when I was 23, 24 years old, even at that time, I was making several six figures. I had a $220,000 house with 2 roommates paying rent. And I had a used BMW.
Right.
That I got a lot cheaper.
Smart.
But you know what I also did then I look back and I had over at any given point I've had over a dozen plus rental properties debt free.
Yep.
You know why? Because I didn't go buy the house that I could have afforded easily, which would have been on the beach in Florida and a really maxed out house. Right? I could have had a Ferrari. I could have had a Lambo by now, the Bentley that I want by now. I could have. I have a 2011 Jaguar with 100,000 miles on it now. I got paid off for it, okay?
It's a nice car. Now, when you say the Bentley you want.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Do you know which one you want?
I want the Continental.
Okay.
That'll be the next one to get.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
No, that's what I want.
But
again, I go back to this. If I would not have done that, I would not be in the financial position I'm in now.
Yeah.
That what I did all those years was I always felt like I was broke because I always spent all my money on my investments
Yeah.
And not many people making several hundred thousands a year would be living in a $200,000 house with 2 roommates paying rent.
Yeah.
And so over time, slowly you build that up and do it. And I think too many people today are not willing to make cutbacks. They're wanting to, if they get a little bit of money, they go to that extreme and go out and spend it all on this expensive truck and this expensive car. My uncle always said that whenever he realized that a vehicle was nothing but transportation, he saved a lot of money. And now I want everybody to understand this. I am now building a house that is 6,000 plus square foot, and it's a pretty big house, and it's going to be a big. But you know what? I'm finally at a point where I'm so much more where I don't have to worry about in a year and a half selling some house because of everything I've put in place over the last 10 years of grinding it out. That's the difference. So you can't go out there and just all of a sudden do it and think you got to make your cutbacks. If you have, go get an older truck, cheaper, save your money, get everything done. You got to make the little changes and the little savings to slowly do more investments. And 10 years later, go get I want the Bentley. I'm glad that I hadn't pulled the trigger yet, but I will at any point.
I have been, and I think you need to write a book on financial common sense. I really do. I've thought that for a long, long time because you have a lot of common sense when it comes to that. I like listening to you because I always learn, and I have certain principles that I've lived by. Like my dad taught me when I was a kid. He was like, look, never own a house or never have a house that has a rent or whatever. Never have a house payment that you couldn't pay off in 1 week's check.
Yep.
That is a ruling as a guide.
That's a good
kept
guide.
me out of trouble. When I became an adult and I bought a house, I made sure that with 1 week's check, I could pay that house note. And that's when you are living paycheck to paycheck. That's a good principle. There's things like that are out there. I have discovered that with the more money I make, the more frugal I am.
Absolutely.
So what happens is how hard you worked
to
get there. Now, I have been much more of free and libertarian when it comes to when you don't have a lot of money because you're like, I can replace that $100.
Yeah.
But and I've been there. I've lived there with 50 cents in the checking account, trying to figure out how I'm going to get to the next 3 days. But I've learned that the more money I make, the more successful I become, the more frugal I am, the more wise I become with the money because there's a thing. So what I tell people with that is I say, take on the mindset of prosperity. First of all, think of yourself as successful. Think of yourself as prosperous. Think of yourself as making a good income. Even if you don't have it, don't let anybody know it. You don't have to. You can always decline. You don't have to go out to dinner. You can say, you know what, I think I'm going to stay in tonight. I got some things I need to do, and go and eat ramen noodles. But make sure that when you carry yourself out in public, and sometimes people balk at this, when you carry yourself in public, you're not poor. You're not down and out. You're not walking around with a handout. You're not looking for somebody to give you something. No, you keep your head up and you walk with an air of success and prosperity. And I promise you, those 2 traits will follow you if you do that.
Oh, and I agree 100% with you. And I want you to understand, I'm not the fan of I'm not a Dave Ramsey guy.
Right.
I don't believe in hoarding everything, saving every dime, and you never enjoy life, okay?
I agree.
What I'm telling you is there's a right time for that, okay? Like it's not like, I still had a nice car and a nice home and all this, but it's nothing close to what I had then. And I want all of those things. I'm going to have a private jet, and I'm going to have a Bentley. I'm going to have the $1 million+ house I want, but I'm doing it whenever it's, like you said, it's that 1 paycheck a week can be paid off and the investment set up. So I'm not a fan of just hoarding everything up and never doing it. But if you want something tomorrow, and if you keep saying you live paycheck to paycheck, you're blowing money in areas that shouldn't matter right now. If you want your own business, you need to get rid of the brand new house and the brand new car, downsize, eat your crow a little bit, save the money aside, and in 5 years have the money to go start your business. And then 10 years after that business, then you have a life of balance that you can have all the things you want after that and not be living paycheck to paycheck.
Exactly.
But too many people these days are not willing to give up to get up, because you got to give up to get up.
And if you want to spend your money, I'm going to encourage you on a good investment scheme. You need to come to one of my shows. Come to one of my shows. It's a $20 ticket. You will walk away feeling good about yourself. You'll be $20 more broke, but you will.
Or just send $20 to secondshotcast@gmail.com.
Bring it out. We can set PayPal, whatever. Card numbers. Who cares? But I'm coming up. I'm going to be August 15th. I'm going to be in Sarasota, Florida. August 16th. I'm going to be in Naples, Florida. And August 25th, I'm going to be in Everett, Washington, which is just north of Seattle. So come out and see me. Hey, just a $20 ticket. What do you got going on, Heath?
I've got a baby.
And that right there, my friends, that's how you make money. And how
a baby is not how you make money.
No, I was talking about me, not you. You're screwed, bro. You got so much going on.
Oh, yeah.
No, you're right. Okay, you know what? Let's take a quick break. We're going to come right back. Hang with us for a second, and we're going to tell you some more things that you cannot live without. Second shot.
Now that's what I call ignorance on fire. More of Second Shot with Chad and Heath still to come. Kick off your boots or suit up. The choice is yours. Welcome back to Second Shot with Chad and Heath on RNCN.
Hey. All right. You know what?
The topic of money always gets things flowing.
It makes me sweat a little bit. It gets me excited. It makes me want to just go to the gym. I don't, but
and then it makes me think about the times of the mistakes I've made, the mistakes I've made, and I go, man, if I wouldn't have just pissed all of that away, like what else would be? And then there's also like that was actually a decent decision, Heath. I'm proud of you, you know. So
you pat yourself.
It's kind of but then I've blown a lot. So I've blown a lot of money.
I'm good at it. I don't have that was another thing, I talked about what my dad taught me, and he did taught me some good financial principles, but my dad also taught me another thing that I've adhered to in life. He says, buy good quality stuff. Don't go buy it all the time.
Yeah.
But if you need something, whether it's clothing, whatever, go buy good quality stuff. Spend the money to do it. It'll last you forever, and that's absolutely true. But I'm real good at finding good quality stuff.
See, here's
go buy a lot of it.
What's always hilarious is that my wife and I'm the one that will blow money. My wife is tight. She is frugal. She is the one that will spend and will look at and take something back if there's a discount for 10 cents cheaper.
Yeah.
Me, I'm horrible at it. I got lucky because I'm probably one of the only males that married somebody who doesn't spend the money, because it's usually the opposite. I'm the one who spends money. My wife is the one that literally would save us a killing if I would stay out of it.
Yeah.
We got us another good email.
And I'll let you get to that. That's the reason why we have money, is because my wife manages it.
And
trust me, that's what takes care of that. So anyway, the email.
Yeah, I would blow it a lot more money. I like this. This is a good one. This is from Ken. Ken Hansen, all right? So, guys, I really enjoy your show. I listen every week during my drive to work. You have a way of making me feel ready to take on the world while becoming a better person. My wife and I, they made a great decision here, Chad, and you're going to agree with me. My wife and I have decided to try and move our family from California to Texas.
Good plan.
Good man. But we still love you, California.
Yeah, we love you, but there's so many reasons.
For an overall quality of life improvement. I have over 10 years experience in law enforcement, but struggle in interviews where I have to sell myself. I think you two might have great insight in this area. I don't quickly think of examples of my accomplishments and feel like I'm giving memorized robotic answers if I come with stories in mind. Do you have any tips on selling yourself?
I've had people forever who, in my business, whether it's being hired to speak or go make an appearance or do a show, and I've handled a lot of my own business, and a lot of people say, isn't it hard to sell yourself? In theory, but I've gotten over that, because what I realize is all I can do is put myself out there, and a person can say no. I don't take it as personal rejection. So, for instance, if somebody sends me an email and says, we want to have you come to this event, what is your fee schedule, these kind of things, and I'll tell them. And then I'll also say, but I'm always willing to negotiate budget issues. Now we've just started a conversation. So now we can dialogue on this thing. So when let's say you're applying for a job or whatever, I'm going to say, you know what, look, I'm the best guy for the job. I may be, I don't mind telling people that. I wouldn't be applying if I wasn't feeling like I was the best person for this job. I know I can do this job successfully. Doesn't mean I'm not teachable. Doesn't mean I'm not open to instruction. But I believe that I will be a quality hire. Come up with those phrases that make you feel good about you, and then be bold enough to say them out loud to the person with the power over your life.
Ken, here's the best thing: you're not alone, because this is probably one of the biggest struggles I think a lot of people will have. Well, except for the really arrogant people. We know those that have no problem in telling you how great they are. But I will tell you this. When I started off in my career, I had a struggle with putting my awards on the wall. And I had a mentor tell me one day, he was sitting there in front of me, he said, Heath, you look like you're 10 years old, and I'm going to come in here and interview you for a 100% commission job, and you have nothing around here that tells me anything you've done.
Yeah.
Your awards on the wall are not you, because I had a problem thinking it was me bragging, right? And Ken, I have a feeling you probably have the same thing. You don't want to be that person bragging about yourself. So what my mentor told me was what helped reframe my mind was, he said, Heath, it's not bragging.
Yeah.
That's just showing proof to what you're telling me. Face to face, that's a proof, okay? And so it's not bragging, it is basically providing the proof that you know what you're doing and you know how you are. And so in our business and law, I tell a lot about you need to know your story, okay? So Ken, one thing that I would tell you to do is get a minute snapshot of your story. And in your story, think about things where you have failed and where you have accomplished things. Have that built into your story, because going back to what Warren Buffett talked about an episode ago, talking about persuading people and opening it up with the faults and failures, something that can help you sell yourself, Ken, is open it up with what you're not good at, and then follow it up. But these are the things that are good traits of mine. It will be easier for you to sell yourself, I believe, if you open up with your kind of where you know you have your struggles at.
Yeah.
And so telling your story, telling it in a story format, telling it through the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the great things that you do, I think will help you open up more to doing those things.
Yeah.
And going back to, I love my Zig.
Yeah.
Zig talked about the affirmation card. Maybe if it's deeper that you have more self-confidence issues, you need to write down an affirmation card of the 10 things you like about yourself. And it's corny, I know, but it works. Getting up every day and reading it to yourself in the mirror over and over, because what you tell yourself is what you do become. If you sit there and tell yourself you're fat, you don't look, you're going to be that. If you tell yourself you look good, and I'm positive, then you're going to be.
Yeah,
That's key.
And if you can't figure that on your own, ask some people that are close to you to tell you what's good about yourself. And never hand somebody a resume you don't fully believe in yourself.
Yep.
Don't give yourself to somebody on paper if you're not willing to back it up in person. And I see people all the time who's like, well, I did bullet point. Well, okay, well, let's talk about that. And they can't bring anything to the table in terms of, yeah, I did that. I brought that. I did that, I used to create, when I was in the corporate world, when I was doing, I used to keep a brag book. I kept the brag book. If somebody needed to see it, look, here it is. Here's 6 pages of things that I've kicked ass in. So,
but I'll tell you this, Ken. I'm just as I'll tell you this, for instance, if you've noticed on the show, Chad reads the ad about my book. The guy that helped me write the book told me, he said, Heath, you're doing a horrible job at your ad on your own book. And I'm like, it's hard for me to really push saying my book. I struggled even here recently with that, Ken, with selling my own book. Okay. Yeah. And Chad did it, and Chad does it much better. So I would tell you that, number one, good thing, Ken, you're not alone, buddy. Everybody struggles with this, so feel great that you're not like this lone wolf out there. I would start off with realizing knowing your faults, and then always telling them with the positives. And that way you won't come off as a robotic, memorized answers when you're doing your interviews, because it doesn't sound like as much as putting it on the paper for Ken, as much as it comes off as when they say, well, give me your strong attributes or something, right, in the interview process. Ken, come up with the examples that prove what your strong attributes are, but start it off with, look, this is where I do struggle, and because what it will show your future employer, is that you're willing to be coached and taught. Okay, that's much more of something I want in people to work with me than somebody who's always right and perfect with all these things.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
I would agree 100%. And, hey, I'd say keep walking in the authority you had when you were wearing that badge, man.
Yeah.
Former law enforcement, we appreciate that service. My biggest piece of advice, one, kudos on coming to Texas because you're not going to pay state income tax.
Yeah.
And the second thing is call Heath Oaks. He's hiring everybody. I'm telling you, man, the fact that you sent the email, that right there, I mean, we give away a job per episode. But
I would, Ken, and I'm glad you asked this, Ken, because I think a lot of people have this issue. But I think that the last episode, if you go back and listen to what Warren Buffett talked about on admitting the faults, I think that will help you open up to talk about your positives because you won't feel like you're being some arrogant, bragging type person.
Yeah. It's hard for people. It's
Yeah.
hard. Some of us, we've just gotten past it. It
Some
doesn't mean
of
you're not.
us just wake up looking this good and we can't help it.
Oh, my Lord. It doesn't mean that you're not humble. It doesn't mean that. It just means you're confident. And people got to separate the arrogance and the confidence things. There's arrogance, but, believing in yourself is not arrogance.
The most difficult line to walk is what you just said.
Yeah.
And let me tell you what the perfect medium to me is. Humble confidence.
Mm-hmm.
There's arrogance, which is too much. There is I'm shy and I cower down to everybody, which is not. But a humble, confident person is somebody who admits their faults, but also will tell their strengths.
Yeah.
So walk the line, Ken. Are you being a humble, confident person? You need to be both because nobody wants somebody on either end of that.
Yeah, and we got to get out of here. But Heath mentioned the book. Go buy the book. Get Ignorance on Fire. Trust me, read it, love it. You'll like it. And give it.
You can fail your way to success as well.
And you will absolutely by adhering to the principles in that deal.
Look me up at Heath Oaks Twitter. Look up Ignorance on Fire. You can find me everywhere on there. And send us some questions at secondshotcast@gmail.com. Leave us a rating review on iTunes. And look, share it with your friends. Come on, share us.
Come on now. And follow me at watchchad.com. Check out a show sometime, hopefully coming to an area near you soon. Because I'm going to be all over the country. And don't forget, go check out politicalcowboy.com and have a little fun. For another episode of Second Shot, my buddy Heath Oaks and our producers right here at the RNC in studios. We love y'all. God bless, and we'll see you next time.